Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, picture this for a second. You're in Africa, and it's 500,000 years ago. It's 3 a.m., it's pitch black, and you can hear something massive breathing just outside your shelter. You don't have a gun, there are no walls, and obviously no phone to call for help. You've basically got a stick, a rock, and your brain. So how on earth do you make it to morning?
It's a genuinely serious question. Generation after generation, our ancestors woke up every single day in a world that was literally trying to eat them. Let's be real here. Physically speaking, humans are kind of embarrassingly unimpressive. We've got no fangs, no claws, no venom, and zero arbor. And our night vision? It's so bad a house cat would genuinely pity us. But somehow, we survived. We beat the absolute most terrifying predators the planet has ever produced. So, how exactly did we pull that off?
Okay, let's dive into this step by step. We're going to start with the Pleistocene problem, then cover Event 1, group defense, Event 2, harnessing fire, Event 3, projectile weapons, Event 4, cognitive superpowers, and finally wrap up with the ultimate role reversal.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Pleistocene predator problem, or what I like to call Earth's deadly operating system. You know, when people hear ancient predators, they usually picture just a slightly bigger wolf or maybe a chunky bear. Yeah, stop right there. During the Pleistocene, which ran from roughly 2.6 million to about 11,700 years ago, Earth was running a completely different and way more deadly operating system. These animals were relentless. They were massive. Just look at the contrast here. On one side, we have our puny human stats, maybe medium speed on a good day, and on the other, the absolutely terrifying metrics of the cave lion. Now, this wasn't some modern lion lounging majestically on a rock at the zoo. No, it was 25% larger than the lions we have today, built for freezing climates with no mane, and the cave paintings left by the actual people who lived alongside them, they tell us these things were active, relentless, coordinated group hunters. They targeted everything from wild horses to young mammoths.
And the threat scale just gets worse. 28. That's 28 centimeters. We're talking about the length of a smilodon's saber-toothed canine teeth. That is literally longer than your forearm from your wrist to your elbow. Pair those teeth with the musculature of a heavyweight wrestler, and they possessed an estimated bite force that could seamlessly puncture right through a bison's skull. It really just needed to get close enough to do that one specific thing it was catastrophically good at.
Or hey, how about 80, as in 80 kilometers per hour? That was the top running speed of the short-faced bear, an absolute monster, standing 1.8 meters high at the shoulder and weighing up to 1,100 kilograms. To put that into perspective, that's 4 times the weight of a modern grizzly bear. At 80 kilometers an hour, this thing could easily outrun a horse at a full gallop. Basically, if this bear decided you looked interesting, your entire day and your life was over. So seriously, how on earth did we survive this?
Well, this brings us step by step to Event 1, group defense, and how we shifted the math.
So our ancestors figured out a really profound truth. Alone, a human was just an easy lunch. But together, a group of humans was a highly risky problem. Group living wasn't just some fun lifestyle choice for socializing. It was hard survival infrastructure, strictly enforced by natural selection. What's really interesting here is that predators, even the apex ones, are deeply risk-averse. Not because they're cowards, but because they're rational. Out in the wild, an injured predator is a dead predator. So if humans form a tight group, close ranks, start screaming at the top of their lungs, and throw rocks, well, the math completely changes. What looked like an easy snack suddenly looks like a potential career-ending injury. The predator recalculates its cost-benefit analysis and decides to just walk away.
Moving right along to Event 2, harnessing fire, which was truly the first technological revolution. This was genuinely one of the most dramatic technological revolutions in all of human history, dating back well over 1 million years. This single event, fundamentally and forever, altered the predator-prey dynamic. Think about it. Every major land predator is deeply uncomfortable around fire because evolution taught them that fire means unpredictability and fire means pain. On a passive level, having an active campfire acted as an alarm system, a fence, and a strong deterrent, dramatically reducing the probability of a nighttime attack. But actively, our ancestors used it aggressively to reshape the entire environment. They'd create coordinated fire lines to drive animals off cliffs, and intentionally manipulated the landscape to direct prey exactly where they wanted them. We literally took control of the terrain. And this brilliantly illustrates our next leap, Event 3, projectile weapons, where we started flipping the danger zone.
You see, the fundamental advantage any predator has over its prey is proximity. They literally have to be close to you to kill you with teeth or claws. But range tools, completely rewrote the rules of proximity. Let's walk through this step-by-step engineering progression. Around 300,000 years ago, we start seeing aerodynamic spruce spears, specifically carved thicker at the front to balance their flight. Then, by 200,000 years ago, this incredible abstract craftwork shows up, hafted weapons that combine sharp stone tips, plant-based adhesives, and animal sinew. And then comes the real game changer, the atlatl spear thrower, about 17,000 years ago. It functioned as an extended lever arm. With an atlatl, a human could launch a spear over 100 meters away with the impact force of a modern crossbow bolt. Suddenly, we were striking the animal before it could even step foot into its own danger zone.
Advancing step by step, we reach Event 4, Cognitive Superpowers, Processing the Threat. Now, don't get me wrong, predators like leopards and wolves are extraordinarily smart, but their intelligence is domain-specific. It's optimized for really narrow tasks, like reading the terrain for an ambush. Humans, on the other hand, developed something totally different: generalized cognitive processing power. The crucial point here is that things like complex language and track reading allowed us to proactively avoid danger. We weren't just reacting anymore. We were building abstract models of the world in our heads. We learned how to read tracks, figuring out an animal's size, its direction, and even its speed just from some dents in the mud. And more importantly, we used complex language to share that info across generations. Being able to say something like, "Hey, there's a huge cat near the eastern ridge, let's hunt out west today," literally saves lives. It allowed humans to transmit detailed, actionable threat intel to people who weren't even there to see the predator in the first place. Avoidance really is the ultimate survival strategy. All of these sequential steps stacked up to create a profound psychological shift. Think about how ambush hunters operate. They fully expect their prey to panic and run away, right? Fleeing is what triggers their instinct to chase. But when humans broke that script, when they confidently stood their ground, stepped forward, made a ton of noise, and projected pure aggression, the predator's decision tree just short-circuited. As the source material beautifully puts it, humans were running an absolutely magnificent species-wide bluff. We essentially projected this massive confidence that we were vastly more dangerous than our puny little bodies suggested. And through trial, error, and empirical testing, we actually backed it up.
And that brings us to the culmination of our timeline, the ultimate role reversal, from prey to apex. Because eventually, just avoiding these massive megafauna wasn't enough. With this incredible layered stack of advantages, the group coordination, harnessing fire, engineering projectile weapons, and deep ecological knowledge, humans crossed a major threshold. We systematically began hunting the very same megafauna that used to terrorize us. And what followed is a striking geographic and temporal correlation. Just notice the timeline here. In North America, animals like mammoths, mastodons, and that terrifying short-faced bear went extinct roughly 13,000 years ago, which very closely tracks with human arrival. Down in Australia, giant wombats and marsupial lions vanished around 46,000 years ago, again, shortly after humans showed up. Now, I do want to point out that the scientific debate between climate change and human hunting pressure as the main driver here is highly complex, and it is still ongoing, but the pattern itself remains fascinating. These massive animals simply had zero behavioral preparation for coordinated bipedal hunters who were capable of striking from a distance and planning complex ambushes across multiple days.
So through a layered, step-by-step stack of evolutionary and technological advancements, a physically unimpressive species walked into the most dangerous ecological landscapes in history and somehow came out on top. We literally started out as the easy prey, and we ended up as the apex predator of every single ecosystem we touched. So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat funny thought. The very next time you panic and scream at a tiny 3mm house spider on your wall, will you take a second to remember your incredible underdog ancestor who stood face-to-face with a 3-meter tall bear and actually survived? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.